Hello everybody, welcome to the 2026 annual energy forecast. And for those of you who are live with us, hi, thank you so much for being here and happy solstice. It is 1 p.m. in California on the 21st of December. So I think for some of you, you might be a little closer to the 22nd, you might be a few hours away from it. And of course, some of you, it already is the 22nd because you're in another part of the world. So thank you for tuning in live. It's always special to get to do it in the energy of the live broadcast. And of course, most of you will be watching this on a replay in the future. But as my guides, the Z's, always say, it's live whenever you are watching it. It's live for you. So great to be with you all. And I can't believe that we're already talking about the energy of 2026 because it feels like 2025 went like that. I'm remembering I did this in January of 2025 this year. We didn't do it on the solstice and I had no voice. I had laryngitis. So I remember having to do a written energy update. So this one is going to be a little different. We're back to spoken and I do have some themes that are written out. If you are watching live, you won't see those yet because I've literally been creating them down to the wire. I like to get close to the broadcast time to call in the themes. So we will provide a sheet for you of what those themes are, which will probably appear within the next 24 hours or so underneath this video. So look out for that for those of you who like to read the themes and some of the short pieces of writing that I do for each theme. And then in today's broadcast, it also gives me an opportunity to elaborate and to give a little more detail around how the themes might be showing up for us. But before we go into anything to do with 2026, I wanted to take a moment with you to just reflect on 2025. I don't know how you're doing. I always say this a lot, that December can be a very frenetic month, it can be a very frantic month, and it can be a very emotional month. I think a lot of the commercialism and a lot of the busyness that happens around Christmas puts pressure on people. And I also think it brings up feelings of loss of loved ones that aren't here at Christmas. And even if you're someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas, it's not really your thing, or it's not part of your religion or way of living, the energy of Christmas is very much felt around the world by everybody. So I hope, if nothing else, you're able to really lean into some of the true meaning of what Christmas can stand for, which is hopefully a moment to pause and reflect and connect. Perhaps it is togetherness for you. And I know some of you may choose consciously to be alone or spend it alone. But for many of us, it can represent being together with people that we love or want to be with. And sometimes you're with people that you're not sure you want to be with. And that's its own kind of healing dynamic. So it's many things at once. But the solstice is a really powerful day. It's a very auspicious day for us. And it is a marker point, not so much for the end of the year, but for the moment where it's going to start getting lighter again in the world. So it's good to be with you all today. And as we reflect on 2025, I have a couple of questions for you. So I wanted you to consider these two questions with me, just in case you haven't had time to do this yourself yet. So what are you grateful for from 2025? As you sit for a second and reflect, what are you grateful for? What did the year of 2025 give to you? See if anything comes. It might be something you already expected to be grateful for. Your intuition might surprise you. Sometimes when we ask this kind of question or hold space for it, it's very surprising what might come into our awareness that we weren't expecting or anticipating or thinking about. So take a moment to perhaps close your eyes and ask yourself, what am I grateful for from 2025? What did 2025 give to me? And just let yourself see the faces of the people you are grateful for, or the person, the thing, the event that happened, the place you got to see, or the places you got to go. Just see if you can take a moment to think of some highlights of your year. And this is especially important if you've had a very tough year. If you've had a very tough year or a difficult year, it's important to take a moment to also see what were the blessings this year, which may have been even more crucial because of how hard the year has been for you. What were the blessings? What or who were the moments of light, the moments of peace, the experiences of healing? Who were some of the people that brought you love, joy, support, comfort, solace? And as you sit with recognizing some of the things that you're grateful for this year, you may want to place a palm face down on the center of your chest, your heart chakra, and just connect to your heart energy and let yourself feel in your heart space the gratitude or the recognition that despite the challenges this year, or despite some of the difficulties you went through, here were these incredible moments of light. Here were these people of light. Here were these events that you're grateful for. And just sit with that for a second and feel your heart extending its gratitude, recognizing the gratitude, and feeling the gratitude for these people, places, things. Great. And now, what are you ready to let go of from 2025? So what are you done with, or what are you so grateful to see the back of? And it's okay. You can, we've practiced gratitude here, which is us connecting to our heart and our light. We can also acknowledge, oh yeah, I'm really glad that's done with. I'm really glad I got through that this year, or that was really tough. And I'm glad I moved through it. I'm glad I survived it. I'm grateful people supported me to get through it. What am I ready to be done with in 2025? And try and choose something that you know is something you're not dealing with right now. So rather than a global thing that is still bothering you, because there are many global things that can be bothering us. There are many things going on in the world that we don't like, that wish weren't happening. This isn't about wishing for something that is currently going on to be over. This is about recognizing, okay, yes, I survived that. I grew through that. That was difficult, but I'm glad I got through it. So what are we ready to let go of from 2025? And you can do the same thing. You can place your hand palm face down over your heart chakra. Wonderful. And just allow yourself to feel how you feel as you recognize, this is what I survived. This is what I went through. This is what I'm happy I'm letting go of. This is what I'm ready to let go of. And maybe for you, you've been struggling with something and you're ready to let go of it so that you don't take it into 2026 in a dominant way. And if you get very emotional here, or if any emotion is moving, one palm over the heart chakra is good, but take the other hand and place it over the stomach, the belly button, the navel, and just make contact with your stomach there. It will just help support any feelings you're having as you recall and express your gratitude that you are letting go of whatever this thing or things are. And also give yourself a little bit of an energetic pat on the back for whatever it is that you endured this year, whatever the teachings or the lessons or the difficulties were. It's always good for us to balance those two poles. So to be honest with ourselves about the things that we are struggling with or that we have found difficult that we're letting go of, but equally to be able to balance it by recognizing, okay, this was hard, but there were blessings dotted around. Always good to just do a little balance check on those things. Okay, so 2025, we are coming to the end of it. We have 10 days left of 2025, or some of you have 9 days left. And by the way, I've just been told that there are a little over 8,000 of you live right now. That's fantastic. I know 40,000 or more of you had signed up to experience this. So thanks for being here, and it's lovely to have so many of you live all over the world. Very exciting. Okay, let's look at 2026. So, as with my monthly energy updates, how I receive the themes for the year as well as for the month is I tune in and I get given sentences. I get given headlines and I get given sentences, and then I come here and as an intuitive I elaborate on those themes. The headline I was given for 2026 was Year of Energetic Reorganization. 2026, Year of Energetic Reorganization. So 2026 is going to be a year where reorganization happens at a planetary level, and also for you might be happening at a personal level. That doesn't mean everything gets reorganized in 1 year and it's all done and there's a bow on it. But it does mean that between 2025 and 2027, we have this middle year where everything is beginning to reorganize itself for a very different future on the planet. So we're going to look at how that reorganization theme shows up through a few of these different themes that I've received. I have 9 themes for you, and then I'm going to channel my guides, the Z's, to give a message about the year ahead. But let's start with the first theme. So I'm going to read you the headline and a few sentences about it before I elaborate. So theme number 1, a year of the voice and speaking your truth. A year of the voice and speaking your truth. Be patient with yourself as you learn how to speak your truth with compassion and balance when love is required, and don't restrict yourself when you are speaking up to create a necessary boundary in your life. Speaking the truth comes naturally after practice, but practice is required. So be kind to yourself as you learn this new way. Words have the power to change your reality and your relationships. Okay, so speaking your truth. One thing I should share here is that my guides, the Z's, many years ago said that when we write, so if we're typing or if we're writing words, we're also using the throat chakra. So speaking your truth can be through written communication. It doesn't have to be verbally expressed. It's also the way we communicate. And of course, if you are someone who uses sign language, that will be your way of speaking your truth. So speaking your truth is a very big topic. And it's a topic that many of us have grappled with on a personal level. But the fact that this is now coming into our world globally says a lot. It means that more and more people are beginning to get clear about their own truth and what feels true for them, and being comfortable with and capable of expressing themselves. A lot of the way that we've been conditioned in society is to be compliant, to be well behaved. Perhaps you were raised to be a good girl or a good boy, and so through that you learnt to modify what your truth was and to try and please other people. Perhaps you were in a very unsafe situation as a child, and so you couldn't speak your truth. And perhaps as an adult, you found yourself in a very unsafe relationship or relationships. So words can be used as weapons, and they often are. I think most of us have experienced what it's like to be spoken to harshly or judgmentally in a diminishing or a demeaning way. I think at some point in our lives, all of us have experienced that. You only have to look at the school playground as a training ground for that, as one place. But many of us have experienced being on the receiving end of negative words from other people and how they affect us. This is another reason that people can be afraid to speak their truth. One of the things I often hear is people say, "Oh, I'm afraid to hurt someone else." And of course, yeah, if you're weaponizing your words and not caring about how your words are affecting others, yeah, you can hurt other people. But there are a couple of things to remember when it comes to that idea of, oh, what if I hurt people? When we knowingly keep our mouth shut in a relationship that's very important to us, it starts to affect us very negatively, and we're not actually being honest. We're not allowing honesty to enter the room in the relationship. So we're letting someone else's fear or resistance to us being honest lead the way. When we break that spell and we're willing, even if we're nervous and even if we're not sure how we're going to do it, to say the thing we need to say to the relationship that we're in, or to the employer that we have, or to the friend that we have, or the family member, what happens is we start to change the relationship, and that's usually what we're afraid of. We're afraid of the power of our words to bring change. Why this is important to talk about is we've seen in society, particularly over the last 5 years, where some of our freedoms of speech are attempting or are being attempted to be taken away. There are certain groups, people, organizations that would like to limit freedom of speech around certain areas or around speaking to power. This is going to be a big theme in the coming years. More and more people speaking their truth about what they see going on in the power systems, so in the power and the leadership systems on Earth. And there is an inbuilt fear that is created around that by design. There are many reasons that we are encouraged to not say what we feel is true for fear of judgment, punishment, and of course it's very well backed up. We're not being delusional there. We are often shown people who have been had their freedom removed or been punished for speaking the truth. So as a society, speaking your truth is not something that we have necessarily been able to come to easily, but it's very important. And it's less about trying to impose your will or your truth on other people. It's not about trying to make other people think you're correct, because correct is a matter of opinion and it's a matter of belief system. But speaking your truth is going to become very important to you, not just as a global citizen, but as a person in your own life. So is there any one or any area of your life where you feel like you need to be a bit more honest? My advice to anyone who is considering this is always to be gentle with yourself and to give yourself time and let yourself practice. I remember when I first started doing this nervously in my late 20s, because I knew I needed to, but it wasn't comfortable for me. The people pleaser in me or the conflict avoidant part of me didn't want to speak my truth in case I upset someone or got attacked. But I learned very slowly that there are a few things that you can do. First of all, you have to get very clear about why you're speaking your truth. And then ask yourself, can I do this with my heart? Can I say this thing to another person without making them the enemy or without making them wrong or shaming or judging them? Can I say this because I'm doing it to express my need? That perhaps the way they spoke to you was too harsh. And perhaps they're always speaking to you in a harsh way. And you've justified it. You go, oh, well, they had a terrible childhood. I know so many people who had a terrible childhood, and they're amazing people because they went and did the work and they unpicked that terrible childhood from inside themselves. We give people an excuse for bad behavior when we don't trust their capacity to grow. It's not healthy to have a 45-year-old in your life who had a terrible childhood, who's acting out all over the place. You don't help them by letting them continue to do that to you or to others. And you might not get through to them, but perhaps you will be one of the first people who will say no to their behavior, and the 8th person will get through to them. So remember, speaking your truth is not about trying to turn the other person into something or have the other person convinced about what you're saying. It's an act of boundary, and it's an act of energetic alignment and protection. If you need to say something so that you can be aligned and you can go to sleep with a good conscience at night, that you said the right thing, did the right thing, looked after yourself, or perhaps you're doing it on behalf of others. You're a truth teller on behalf of groups in the world who don't have a voice. Or perhaps you're the truth teller at the family gathering of 12 because no one else seems to be tackling the bully at the dinner table, but you will. Remember that when we speak our truth, it can have a charge for the other person. So as much as you can, come from your heart, and you don't have to resolve the conversation in the moment. Say the thing, it might put a ripple in the room, but also practice what you want to say in advance if you're scared. Really think about it. Perhaps write down some words so that you know what the key things you want to say are. And always, when emotions might be present in a conversation, less is more. Don't do too much explaining. Don't do too much fluffy words around what you want to say. Just be as clear, as concise and loving as you can with your feedback or your words, and then let the other person come back to you. What I want to say here is, I think what's interesting is whenever I've worked with people on this, and even in my own psyche as I've gone through my own journey with this, we tend to fear the worst. What we forget is this can be a game changer for all your relationships and all your intimacy. It starts to create deeper trust in your relationships. I trust someone who'll tell me the truth. I can always tell if someone is holding something back, and it doesn't make me feel completely safe with that person. It's fine, I mean, I can look after myself, but I'll notice, I'll be like, oh, okay. You know, I'm a big fan of people just being able to say what they want to say, and then we'll work it out together from there. So you will not only create deeper relationships in some of your relationships, even if at first the person isn't sure they love what you said. If you stay consistent, those people will either get closer to you because they will trust you, or some of them, if they're supposed to move away, they will move away, and that will create space for others to come into your life. So I hope that's a few helpful things to think about with this theme, but it will be a theme all year. It will be a global theme, but it will also show up personally for you. So good luck with that one. It's a really important one, and I have to say, for me, it was one of the biggest areas of my life that changed my life, learning to free my own voice in my personal relationships, not just in my work, which of course, you know, my voice is big for my work, but it definitely, it allows who you are as a soul to come through you in a powerful way. Okay, the second theme, this is an energetic theme, the dissolution of linear time as we knew it. The dissolution of linear time as we knew it. So, the speeding up of time will continue to be something you notice. And the past, present, and future are beginning to join in our senses. Circular time is beginning to replace linear time for the consciousness of many on Earth. And this accelerates healing and transformation. As we grow and become more consciousness, this idea of linear time, past, present, future, it loses some of its power and some of its hold. We start to recognize that the past and the future can both be found in the present, and that there is a circular relationship that they all have. And in fact, elements of our past show up in our present, show up in our future, just in, let's say, energetically improved ways. So many of us can attest to the fact that it feels like time is going so fast. And it's not just those of us who are getting older. Even the younger generations are experiencing it and noticing it. So the speeding up of time is part of the rising of consciousness on Earth. And as you get a little more circular in the way you see time, you'll start to recognize that where you are positioned today, who you are today, it's fluid. and it's going to be gone tomorrow. I know I often didn't used to think that way. I used to think, okay, well, today is December 21st, 2025, and this is the age I am. And, I'd kind of have this little list of all the things, all the organization around it. And then you realize, well, that's all an illusion anyway, because linear time is a helpful marker. And linear time is a really helpful marker to assess your progress. So I'm pro linear time. I'm not in any way trying to talk you out of your relationship with linear time, but I am being told by my guides that more and more of us will experience time as circular now. And we will be able to connect to different time frames across dimensions, across memory, and that memory will be very, Memory will sometimes move into your body and your awareness like you're on the holodeck, reliving something. And particularly as you get more conscious, you can sometimes bring in a memory from the past and feel it very viscerally, and it allows you to clean up some of the stored energy from the past that you couldn't feel back then. So you might go, whoa, why am I crying about that thing that happened when I was 17? Because now you can. And you're actually reclaiming that part of you, age 17, that just had to pause because it couldn't process the feelings. It arrested your development energetically. As you grow, as you heal, you start to have enough space to hold that. And it doesn't mean we have to go back and remember everything. There are certain things that will come back through our body that are examples from our childhood or from our younger years, but it won't be everything. But certain things that relate to the themes of your life. So for example, expression is a theme of my life. And if you look at what I do for a living, it makes sense that expression was one of my life themes. And so I think back to all the times my expression was arrested, stunted, underdeveloped. I wasn't safe to express myself for various reasons. Those themes might move through me. Those memories might move through me as I'm about to go to another level of expression. So whatever your perceived wound is, if you're revisiting it, ask yourself, well, what did the wound stop me accessing? Oh, the wound of being told off for speaking my truth stopped me accessing speaking my truth. And now I'm feeling that wound coming back through my body 25 years later. Oh, I must be ready to start speaking my truth because I'm reclaiming that energy that got arrested, got stopped. So, circular time will accelerate your experience of transformation and healing, and circular time will start to become more normal for us, where we'll see time as this spiral and not as a straight line. Okay, inner spiritual and connection depths going to greater levels. So inner spiritual and connection depths will be going to greater levels. So increased extrasensory ability and remembrance is returning to people. So more people than ever will be becoming something outside the old operating system. Solitude, study, or immersion and personal journeys and adventures in consciousness will accompany this for many of you. So if I could just get that back, please. Thank you. A little higher. Thank you. So inner and spiritual connection depths. This is par for the course. I mean, this has been going on for years. Consciousness is rising on earth, so more and more people are getting deeper with their connection to spirit, their connection to themselves. Increased extrasensory ability. I've been talking about this for years in the energy updates, but more and more people are beginning to tap into other realms. They're having intuitive experiences. They're having experiences with the loved ones who've died, who then reach back from, beyond the veil and connect with them. And so more and more people are beginning to remember that they are more than what the old operating system of humanity told us we were. We are extrasensory beings, and that's part of our divine blueprint as humans. And it got stopped through cultural programming and conditioning and various reasons. So if you want to actively deepen this solitude, so spending time alone with your own sense of connection, your own sense of spirit, and also study or immersion and personal journeys and adventures in consciousness or spiritual education will accompany this for many of you. So some of you will find yourselves diving deeper into areas of study that you're interested in. For some of you, it might be specifically intuition. Some of you might specifically feel in alignment with dreams. Some of you might get very into healing. So it's going to be very specific though. It's not broad. You're going to zone in and deepen because each of us have a spiritual connection, but it shows up differently for all of us. For some people, it's all about nature and animals and the land. For others, it's about humans. For others, it's about the realms of energy. So even if you've been spiritual for a long time, 2026 is going to be a year where you go deep on something. It may also be nutrition and fitness, which I think are often not considered spiritual, even though they should be, because the body and the energy system is such an important part of how we experience ourselves. So don't be surprised if you take a deep dive in 2026 into a certain area that you haven't yet looked into or that you suddenly become passionate about, because personal depth is going to really go up in 2026. And there will be many of us who are called to study or immerse ourselves in something that we will feel very drawn to. And whatever that area is going to be a big key to our growth and our next level. Okay, the next theme is houses of cards will begin to fall. Houses of cards will begin to fall. Now I tried to change the term houses of cards and I was told no. So for those of you who don't know that term, particularly if you're younger, houses of cards is something that's not built on a foundation. I mean, literally, you think of a house of playing cards and you build it up. It's very easy to blow it over or knock it over because it's not really built on anything solid or strong. So houses of cards will begin to fall this year. Anything built on old energy, old consciousness, old ideas, or old attempts at control, so top-down control, trying to control people, will become more destabilized than ever this year on personal and global levels. This will be true of the next 2 to 3 years especially, and growing disenchantment began for people. I would say many people have been disenchanted for a long time, but particularly in the last few months of 2025, I'm told that there was more growing disenchantment for people around the leadership of this world in many countries right now. So that's an important, difficult, painful awakening for many people, but it's an important awakening when it comes to the revolution of consciousness that we're in. So 2026 will see more visible evidence and examples of houses of cards falling down. So this refers to global leadership and personal relationship dynamics. Surprises and sudden improvements will happen in areas where things have been bleak or tough. When it feels like the dark is winning, wait, things will reshift. When it feels like the dark is winning, wait, things will reshift. Now, I don't say that to create apathy or stick your head in the sand and just hope everything's going to be fine, because I think we have to be very active participants of what's going on the planet. It's why we're being asked to find our voices. But you may have noticed, I referred to this in an energy update a few months ago, you may have noticed that there is this agenda to control people, keep people down, limit people's freedom in many ways, economic, so many different ways. And there are these quite dark or low vibration attempts at this control, and some of them get pushed through. But it can't hold. That's what the Z's have always said. Old consciousness is trying to hold on, and it can do so in a very brutal way. It can impact many negatively. There's no question about that. But these houses of cards that are built on old low vibration, they are being increasingly challenged in the way that they can continue to perpetuate themselves. So it doesn't mean everything's going to be fine by the end of 2026. We're definitely in a cycle this next few years where all of this is coming to the surface, and it needs to come to the surface. It requires people. It requires we, the people, seeing what's happening and making the change happen. But you will notice this in your personal life too. It won't just be global. You'll notice anything or anyone around you that is trying to build something high that is either costing other people, is being done at the expense of others. It won't go well. You yourself may even come a cropper of this. Perhaps you're trying to make something happen too fast, or when it's not really a solid foundation. We have to wait for things to be ready before we try and build them. So be aware of that houses of cards energy in your personal life as well as globally. It will mostly be global that we will see it playing out, but some of you will also notice houses of cards falling down in your personal life. Not necessarily your own that you're building, but maybe people around you too. Okay, the next theme, galactic awareness. Galactic awareness. So galactic awareness enters the mainstream, and so will the rush to control the narrative. The fact we are not alone here on Earth has been spoken of for years. And of course, there are many out there who have spoken about this for decades, and there are many of us who've, looked into this, known about this. But this year, there will be increasing information, awareness, and revelations about galactic history and its relationship to Earth and humanity. Watch out for those who want to control the narrative for their own gain. So, I've seen a lot more evidence of disclosure this past year. I think we all have. If you're paying attention, there's this increasing disclosure that's coming to the surface that we aren't alone. We've never been alone. For whatever reason, it has been kept from us that we are not alone. And it is we're now at a time in history where it's harder to keep that a secret. So there are many who will come out and will make announcements about this, but they will be controlling the narrative. So we'll be given a piece of the information, but then we'll be told how to feel or think about the information. Because we have never really been able to reckon with this in ourselves, but at a soul level, we know it's true. At a soul level, we know it's true. At a human level, we've been conditioned to believe something else, and that conditioning contains a lot of fear. So it's going to be interesting to see how the mainstream, us included, react to the increased galactic awareness that is going to be disclosed in 2026 and beyond. And watch out for whenever the information seems distorted, or whenever you're being told a story to get you to look to the left, because that's what the people want you to do. Be aware that manipulation has been a big part of this story for a long time. So don't expect disclosure to not be accompanied by a level of manipulation. And then you might say, well, how do I know what the truth is? How do any of us know what the truth is when we haven't had time to sit with it and discern? So it's going to ask a lot of our discernment, and it's going to ask us to sit with new information and consider it from all sides and not rush to make a quick reaction, which is what we'll be encouraged to do. So be mindful of emotional manipulation when it comes to galactic awareness, much like you need to be mindful of emotional manipulation in a news story. Is a news story giving you a headline about something and then facts about something, or is a news line giving you a headline about something with a level of emotion in it and then some facts, but then in the emotional lines it's telling you how to feel about it and why it's wrong? That's emotional manipulation. That's not fact sharing. So galactic awareness enters the mainstream. Okay, I like this theme. We are the Oneness Revolution. We are the Oneness Revolution. So oneness reminds us everything and everyone is interconnected. Oneness is an energy that reminds us that everything is interconnected and that we're connected to all of it. And usually when you are living from a state of oneness, you have a more caring attitude toward others. You think more inclusively. You think in a more benevolent way. And I would argue that so many people I meet on the planet, oneness is their true nature, and oneness is what they are here for. And probably most of you, like so many of us all over the world, we are doing our best to allow oneness into our system, and we're updating who we were and who we were programmed to be, to allow ourselves to become more compassionate, more loving, more unifying. Oneness reminds us everything is interconnected, and many agendas on earth want to divide us and keep us away from that truth. We are the disruptions to the ongoing resistance to the new consciousness of love and oneness. So we are the disruption. So we can look out there and go, oh God, I wish the world wasn't like it is, and I wish that person hadn't been allowed to do that thing. And that's valid. And those feelings, when you see them, when you feel, let them come through you. If you're angry, let the anger come through. If you're sad, let the sadness come through. But we are the disruptors to that. We are the ones who need to become, embody, and emanate the opposite. Because when humans feel the opposite, they know that's the truth. So technology will help in this arena. And so people's connection, communication, and sharing online is part of that change. The internet plays a big part and will be a game changer in the next couple of years, especially when it comes to community action, sharing, and communication. Hence the desire from some to over-regulate the freedom the internet provides to people. The internet's going to be very important in the next 2 to 3 years around community action, community gathering. It's already been fundamental in changing what people understand and know. So we have to be careful about the desire to over-regulate the internet, and often we'll be told, oh, we're doing this for people's safety. And a bill will be passed that looks like it's for people's safety. But if you look at the small print in that bill, there are a whole load of other things behind it. So the internet has been a game changer when it comes to the revolution of consciousness, and it will continue to be. We are the Oneness Revolution. So what you're doing in your life around your heart and around how you can help other people and how you can live in a more interconnected, compassionate way, it's not a waste of time. It's exactly what we need to be doing. And we need to do more of it. So if you're exhausted and you need a break, take a break. But if you've got the energy to do it, that's where our focus needs to go. So the Oneness Revolution, and it's why, by the way, I didn't know this was going to be a theme, but the tour that we are doing in 2026 is called the Oneness Experience, because I got very clear directive that we need to bring the energy of oneness into that room and have that experience with the groups that we will be meeting live when we do the Oneness Experience tour in North America in June, and also in October we're going to be in Europe, UK, and Scandinavia. We've not announced those dates yet, but so this oneness word is going to become more common in the years to come from many different sources around the world, because oneness is coming in now. Okay, the next theme, breakups and new beginnings. Breakups and new beginnings. So breakups and new beginnings will mirror the shift in energies on the planet. Stay the course with the feelings and the experiences you go through with breakups. So whether it's a friendship breakup or a family difficulty or a romantic breakup, they're very hard sometimes, and letting go of people or places or things can be tough. But remember that it will lead to the new, and that the new should feel new. This is important. You will be changed by the arrival of new people, places, and things. So give yourself patience and time as you enter the new, and don't expect it to feel like before. You are changing, and so is your experience as you change. So for example, let's say you had a really close friend and you had a sad ending with that friend. It might really be bothering you and troubling you right now, and you're like, I just wish I could have a close friend again like that. You will. You'll get a new close friend, but guess what? It won't feel the same. There will be an upgrade energy to it. It will be an improved version of that. So your heart and your inner chambers will have to open and change. So we'll know we're in something new when we're a bit like, ooh, not quite sure how to feel about this. So be patient with yourself. That's part of the beauty of becoming someone and something new. We get to change our experience as an energy field and as a mind and as a heart. And that's how we change our consciousness. We evolve. That's the beauty of evolution as a human. So, okay, next theme. The end of self-abandonment. The end of self-abandonment. Now, interestingly, I'm preparing for the January energy update, my monthly January energy update, and this is one of the themes for January. So this will be hitting us immediately, and you may even be feeling it right now. The end of self-abandonment. Allowing the magical back into your personal life will happen through connecting to yourself, your life, and your essence. Equally, tough lessons might show up to support the end of your self-abandonment, which may put you into feelings of victimhood temporarily. Feel what you need to feel if this happens, but equally ask yourself what you need to change in order to change the feelings. You are not here as a slave to others, nor are you here as a slave to raising the consciousness on earth. Martyrdom and the feeling that you are the only savior or the only helper can be the shadow here. So self-abandonment is when we are ignoring our own needs. And, you know, I know many of you who are parents and this is a big one for women. I'm not saying it doesn't happen for men too, because sensitive men, definitely this is a theme for you as well. But I think in society, women have been asked to abandon themselves as a gender more than men historically. Although I'll argue that I think at this point in society, we're in a whole other paradigm when it comes to, you know, gender roles and what's going on. I think men are feeling quite lost at the moment in general as well, because everything is changing on the planet. So I don't want to overemphasize, and I don't want to exclude any of you men who identify with self-abandonment, because most sensitives or people who are healers, people who are awake, people who are empathic, self-abandonment is when you go too far with trying to give to or help others. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a lovely thing. You know, giving to others is wonderful. It's, you know, most of us often enjoy that more than we do receiving. But there is a line. And when we self-abandon and we're giving from a place of deficit, or we're thinking that we're making other people happy while we are miserable, we're not actually energetically being true. And at a certain point, your own vibration will cause you some lessons. You'll have someone betray you or belittle you, or you might go, wow, why did no one help me? I've helped everyone all year and no one helped me. And you might have to ask yourself some tough questions. Did you ask for help? Did you make it clear you need help? Or is it important for you to be the strong ones? You never show any vulnerability, so no one knows you need any help. You've never asked for it. You might say, well, I'm not comfortable. You're going to have to ask. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to include yourself. The healthiest giver is someone who also knows how to look after themselves, so they can keep giving. You know, none of us can do it 24/7. We all need moments of solitude, moments of peace, moments of reset. Maybe for you, fantasy football is your like joy. You might be a very spiritual person in all other areas, but you're like, I just love fantasy football. Give yourself your fantasy football time, whatever it is that's lighting you up. You need to do it with some regularity. It's really important. Kids are good at it, and they are also free of certain adult responsibilities. We need to, as adults, reclaim those things for ourselves, for our own well-being. We'll be better parents, better caregivers, better friends, better employers, better employees, better all of it, better relationships, partners. So, okay, next theme and final theme, I believe, yes. Major economic shifts. This is signaled for the second half of the year and will be initially impactful in several areas, but will lead to more equitable abundance over the coming years due to what the impacts reveal to the public and the public's need to survive and thrive. We already know that there are some things that have happened in the last particularly 5 years that have brought economic distress and challenge to people, while those in power have done very well. And so the imbalance around the economics is very clear, and it isn't really about money, it's actually about power and control. It's not so much about amassing more dollars, it's about removing money from the people, which limits our freedom because we're in a money system. That's kind of how it's been set up. You know, most of us aren't growing our own food on our land. Some are, but we're in a money system. And so if you control that money system, you control the people. We're going to see some major economic shifts in the second half of the year that will be impactful in certain areas of the world and to certain groups. But what they will actually, it won't be worldwide and it won't be everybody, but it will actually reveal some of the corruption going on. So initially it will be difficult, but it will lead to more revelation and evidence around the inequity. And where we're going in the future, there needs to be more balance, there needs to be more fairness, there needs to be more availability of abundance for all, and abundance to live and to breathe and to be able to do what they need to do. So that signal for the second half of the year, we're already seeing various things going on around that right now, but the fact that this has come up makes me think it's going to be something a bit more major. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. So that's everything I received for 2026. And of course, there will be more to be revealed, and there will be more that will play out for all of us. But I hope something here can be useful to you as we go through the year. And of course, you can return to this video and these themes anytime in the year. And in a moment, I'm going to channel my guides, the Z's, for you with a short closing message, see what they have to say about 2026. But while I energetically prepare to channel, we're just going to play you a short preview of Arise, which is an experience I'm bringing to people online in February. It's called 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness. It's the biggest thing I've ever done. It's a 21-day journey to help you go deeper into higher consciousness. So we'll give you a preview of that now for those of you that might be interested in joining us for it. And I'll see you in about a minute and a half with the Z's.
Open your heart. Expand your awareness. Elevate your life. Arise with Lee Harris. 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness.
I think sometimes higher consciousness is seen as this elevated destination that we're supposed to get to. It is not. It's all in here.
Guided by Lee Harris, Arise offers a holistic blend of intuitive teaching.
It's good to notice, I spend a lot of time in my past. Am I creating enough new in my life?
Luminous channels from the Z's.
As you go through your life and your evolution, you get the chance to upgrade your soul and start becoming someone or something new.
Energetic movement and community connection. Join us wherever you are for 21 video modules online, 3 live sessions with Lee, supporting teachers, and a soul-nourishing soundtrack with Devor Bozique.
The beauty of holding a group like this is you get to see all of us rising together, and how higher consciousness is something that we are influencing in each other all of the time.
It gets right to the heart of the matter.
Always something that resonates with me.
Channels felt even more like personal.
Arise with Lee Harris. 21 Keys to Higher Consciousness begins February 4th. 1 key at a time. A return to presence.
Good. Welcome. A pleasure to be with you all. For you are leaders of consciousness at this time on Earth. And you may ask, what is a leader of consciousness exactly? And it is one who is embodying new levels of consciousness for their community. Some of you might be in direct leadership roles. You may be a parent, or one who is the head of your group or your family. Perhaps you even work in consciousness. You are a healer of some kind, or a transformation leader or facilitator. But all of you are leaders of consciousness when it comes to your awareness and your interest in becoming more than what the, shall we say, former human was allowed to be. You are exploring who you are in your own way and learning about your metaphysical nature as human beings. And it is that very metaphysical nature that does connect you to everything and everyone else. This is how and why you are a multidimensional being, and this is how and why you are a custodian of oneness on Earth. And we are aware that the biggest problem for many of you is the human issue of self-judgment. You have all been taught very subtly, and in some cases more overtly, to think little of yourselves, to think far too little of yourselves. And we do not mean here that your egos need stroking and you need to walk around the world with a puffed out chest telling everyone that you are fabulous. It's not about that. No, it is about you recognizing that you are a magnificent galactic being. You are a galactic being. You are of the universe, not just of Earth. And the universe is vast. And all of you are beginning to be reconnected to that truth. You are essentially coming home to your true galactic nature. And when this happens for you, it is a little like all the lights go on. And you feel a level of connection, openness, heart, freedom, and oneness that you were not often encouraged to experience in your human lives. Yes, your human lives have brought many things so far. Wonderful experiences of love, connection, healing, transformation. But as a general rule, humanity has been held away from oneness because humanity has been quarantined away from its galactic nature. But now humanity is being returned, slowly but surely, and there are many of you who are already feeling it. Why? You feel the wave before it hits the mainstream. There are waves of consciousness hitting the planet that have been for a long time, that many of you catch early. So you feel the wave because you are carriers of the wave for others. And you may say, well, what is the consequence of this? For I look at the world and I see a world that is not yet awake. And so we say to you, good, wake it up. Ha! Wake it up. It is your job with every conversation, with every loving look from your eyes to another being, with every act of love you perform on Earth, you are contributing to the consciousness you want to see. And you are creating a bigger gap where the consciousness you do not want is concerned. People need to feel love and experience higher consciousness. You cannot tell them about it. They need to feel and experience it. But remember, for some people to let that feeling happen, they need to understand it mentally first. So there are many who will study, and one day the result of all that study will cause in them an extraordinary opening. There are others who are perhaps a little more sensory or a little more available for the opening. They will not need to study, but they will have a spontaneous opening or awakening. And then after that, they may go and study to try and understand what has happened to them or how to find ways to ground this energy. So, you are all leaders of consciousness. Do you understand that? Will you acknowledge that? Let that in? There are a lot of you listening, nodding your heads, going, yes, that feels true to me. But there are some of you saying, well, I've only just started looking into this stuff. I'm still not even sure I understand what you or Lee or others are even talking about, but I feel compelled to be here. That's okay. That's okay. There is no test here. No one is going to grade you on your progress. And in fact, it is letting go of that earthbound idea that is going to be your greatest epiphany. You are not being graded by another human being. And you will reach a point where you no longer grade yourself. You will no longer be grading yourself, keeping score on how well you think you're doing or how well you think you aren't doing. It's always fun when you think you're doing well. It's never fun if you think you aren't. Ah, the judgmental mind. Where did it come from? Oh yes, other humans. I live with a judgmental mind as if it's my own, but it isn't. I inherited it from the human energy template. I will work to release my judgmental mind so that I can return to the love of oneness, the feeling of heart, the feeling of connection. I am a leader of consciousness on earth. And you would never say this to people. We wouldn't encourage you to walk into your Christmas party and say, I am a leader of consciousness. But we need you to know it. We need you to understand it in your heart. We will give you a concrete example. How many of you have lost a loved one to death? And in the event of their death, you suddenly realize how impactful that person was on your life. They're no longer here, so you spend time realizing how they impacted you. This is the impact that each of you are having on others all of the time. And even those of you who are reclusive, you are not so into people, or you are not so into people right now, you are having a vibrational effect on the earth with all of your thoughts and feelings. And we know that some of you are struggling right now. You are struggling with the pain on the earth. You do not like seeing the suffering. You do not like seeing people in suffering. There are many of you who do not know what to do with yourselves right now because your awakening has brought you to such a place that the old world no longer makes sense. You also can't find yourself entertainment in the old world like you used to. So you're in a liminal space. This too shall pass. The liminal space is you emptying yourself out before you find new ways of engaging. You are all moving to a higher level of consciousness as a planet, but you as an individual, that you are in control of. You are in charge of that. So we will say to you, if nothing else in the year to come, if you were to give yourself to practice with your spirit, your inner self, your inner connection, if you did nothing else in the year of 2026 toward your own progress, but simply gave yourself to a deepening with your own inner sense of connection. Perhaps it's just giving yourself 5 minutes of silence a few times a day as a new practice. Perhaps it's committing to finally study that thing that has interested you for so long, but it has never felt like you've had time, or it feels like other people need you so you can't do it. We say, stop that thinking. Give yourself to what your soul is asking you to engage with. Because that voice of your soul will get louder and louder and louder. And the energy of 2026 is designed to turn up the volume on your ability to transform yourself. Your self-transformation will be the transformation of this world. And you are transforming not because there's anything wrong with you. No. You're transforming because there is more of you to come. There is more of you available. And the only reason you haven't got there yet is because you tried on certain things for size that other humans like to do. You tried on self-judgment. You tried on keeping yourself small. You tried on being a people pleaser. You tried on all of these things that so many people in your ancestral line have done for a long time. You tried on survival and the limitations of survival thinking. You tried it all on for size so that you could transmute it. And you might say, well, why would I have blocked myself like that? You are not doing it for yourself. You see, that's what you forget. When you overcome self-judgment, it feels like a gift for you that you are no longer haunted or tormented by your own self-judgment. And you might say, oh, I'm so glad I'm free of self-judgment. But guess what we see from our perspective? We see another human being who said no to self-judgment as a paradigm. No to self-judgment as a program. So not only have you got rid of something that you could have handed on to someone else, or that someone else could have felt in your energy field and imbibed from you, you become more loving, more open. And that is what they now feel when they're in your presence, which for those who have not yet attained that in themselves, you become an example of something they want to be or feel. And they may never ask you a question about it. They may never have the confidence or the words or the language to be able to converse with you about what it is that makes you feel so good when they are around you. But they will feel it. And they will see a human being who is living and operating in a different way to what they were trained into. And they will like it. And they will remember it. And some of them will use you as an ignition. Some of them will ask you, what have you been doing? You seem so happy. And you will say, oh, I sit down for 5 minutes a day in silence 3 times a day. It's changed my life. Or you might say, oh, I exercise every single day now. Changed my life and my serotonin levels. Whatever it is you are doing is not one thing. There are a series of things that all of you will do, and they will be personal to you, but they will elevate your life. And an elevated life results in an elevated consciousness, and people will feel it when they're in your presence. This is how you are a leader of consciousness. This is how you are a leader of oneness on earth. Now, some of you are listening and you're a little frustrated because you wanted us to help you with that problem you've got. You're annoyed that we're saying something that seems so positive when you yourself do not feel positive right now. Well, we would rather do that and show you where you're going than sit down and cry and commiserate with you, because you can do that yourself and you will find others who will cry and commiserate with you. And there is a time and a place for crying and commiseration. Nothing wrong with it, but it should be a temporary state. It shouldn't be something you live in for years. That's when you know you got stuck somewhere in the cycle. And if you are feeling angry that we are saying that now, that is a sign of your resistance. Nothing wrong with resistance either, but pay attention. When someone offers you something positive and you get angry about it, it either means you aren't ready to let go of where you are right now, or they are putting their finger on something you weren't quite ready to hear. Nothing wrong with your anger, by the way, but pay attention to it. Don't let anger become a character in you. It's just an emotion. It's just moving through you. It's not who you are. Good. Who you are is oneness. And you are the Oneness Revolution. And you are a leader in the Oneness Revolution. And if you are sick of the rest of the world and feel exhausted by everything outside of you, just focus on yourself anyway, because it will help the rest of the world for you to do that. If your focus is on becoming a transformed version of yourself. Good. You are an ambassador of love on the planet, remembering how to become an ambassador of love more of the time. 2026 will be an accelerator. For many of you, you will harness the energy, you will fly. For others among you, you will use 2026 to get you to the next level. There may be ups and downs, there may be arduous moments, but you will use it to get you to the next level. It is time. And within you, there is so much to explore, experience, and feel. It's just that you've been given little opportunity to go within by your societal programming. That's why so many of you have to branch out by yourselves and follow your spiritual path. Good. Keep following. The road will lead you home. The road will lead you home to oneness. In peace, in love, and in oneness to all. Okay, that's a little message from my guides, the Z's, and I think most of you know who I am and who the Z's are, but for any of you who don't, Channeling is a part of my work and has been for 21 years. And it's been a pleasure to be with you today. I really hope that something in this broadcast has given you some kind of direction for your year to come. And I hope that you have a really good 2026. And if I don't see you again, if this is the last time you and I interact, good luck with your life and good luck with all you're doing. And yeah, and if I do see you again, either because you're a member of the Portal community or you're going to join us for a Rise, or I'm going to see you on tour next year or at Soul Magic, it's my honor to do this work and to serve in this way. And sending love also from all my team who work with me to bring this to you. So lots of love, everyone. Happy solstice. Have a wonderful rest of the year, or beginning of 2026 if you're watching this in the future. And we're going to play you out with a short preview of Arise. But lots of love to all of you. Take good care. And I hope you can get some quiet reflection time in this next few weeks. It's important to take stock. Take care. Bye-bye.